Okay, so welcome back to the channel, guys, with myself, David, Millionaire Incorporated. And as you know, on weekends, I like to kind of do a bit of a review of the trading week that was, in particular with the trading pair or Forex currency pair GJ or GP, the pound yen, GBPJPY. If you're new to the channel, welcome, guys. I hope you enjoy this video which I'm about to produce. I'll just go through, give a bit of a review of what the trading week has done for this currency pair and give my view on what might happen moving forward. If you're a returning viewer, guys, really appreciate the support. Don't forget, as always, drop a like, leave me a comment, and hit the subscribe button. So let's get into it. So, as you can see, we ended the last week here at this candle at just below that 148 level. Now, if you've been following my videos and watched my video from last week, we've been kind of keeping an eye on this 148 level as an area of potential reversal from this massive impulse move up from GJ. Now, this is from a weekly kind of time frame, so I'll quickly try and jump over that and I'll show you what I was looking at. So you can kind of see this 148 area was about here, where it's just kind of finally potentially exhausted, and we could have potentially seen some a retracement down. But as you can tell, it didn't do that. It kind of opened up slightly higher from where it closed last week, came up, tested this area again, potentially exhausted, which was kind of a bit more promising for us to actually finally get that reversal. But then it just completely took off again higher. So let's jump into the 4-hour chart and actually have a closer look at this and what it actually did. So let's just tidy this up a little bit. So you can see it opened the week just here on this 4-hour candle here. So it opened up at 147.66. Came up, tried breaking above that 148, kind of exhausted, and came back down. And myself and quite a few of my other trading buddies, we all looked at it. This is potentially a great time to finally get that reversal and do that correction move. But it just didn't have that momentum to kind of continue lower. It just stopped, paused, and then took off all the way up. And you can see that how it just completely moved all the way up. Now, the UK government did actually make an announcement during the week that they were going to end lockdown. Can't remember exactly which date they were going to say they were ending lockdown, but it's coming up soon. And for the British community or British population, that's great news, because that means they get to kind of go out, enjoy themselves, spend money again, and that's favourable for their economy. So that was seen as good news for the pound, and that's where we saw this actually significant move up. So as you can see, failed to kind of continue lower, came back, broke above this area, came back down, tested that 148, and then shot up higher. So you could have actually potentially taken a buy trade from that area. So I'll probably put it here. This is basically only on the 4-hour time frame, so you can probably drop down to a slower time frame and actually find a better entry. So let's just have a look at that there quickly. And as you know, I like to go for a 2-to-1 risk reward at minimum with 40 pips stop loss, which is that there, which would have taken you up to about that 149.3. So after it broke that area there, I was kind of looking for areas where it could potentially show some signs of reversal. So if you're an existing trader, you know, look left, see what's done historically. If you're a new trader, I was looking left in the previous price action in that area to see potential areas where it could have actually dropped lower from. So one area which I saw that was 149.33 or 149.30. So that would have potentially taken that buy up to that area there. And as I said, that's at 2-to-1 risk reward. So it never, after that 4-hour candle closed, you can see it never kind of came back down to try and test it, just took off. So let's drop down to like a lower time frame to see where we can actually have taken a better entry from that. Potentially even got a better entry. So you probably have taken it off this 30-hour time frame down here. And had you done that, just basing it off that, give yourself about 20 pips, you could say, you could have increased that to a 5-to-1 risk reward. But as always, even popping it below previous market structure, which is around here somewhere, you would have been about 50 pips to that for that trade, and that would have still given you roughly that 2-to-1 risk reward. But keeping with consistency, have that 40 pip stop loss, 80 pip take profit, and that's that 2-to-1 risk rewards. That would have easily given you one nice trade there. So I'll just kind of tidy this up a bit, make it cleaner moving forward. So after it kind of broke up this area here, you can see this kind of area kind of exhausted. Now I did start looking for a potential sell-off from that, so same thing again, I dropped down to the 30-minute time frame or 1 hour time frame and looked for an area of potential exhaustion. So potentially here you could have popped in a trade for that sell after it exhausted, closed there, 40 pip stop loss, which would have just been above there. But as you can see, it didn't actually hit that 2-to-1 risk reward, so that wouldn't have been a favorable trade to take. It wasn't going to come lower, or you could have taken it, but you would have had a loss there. So you can see that quite easily. Exhausted without being able to break that or fill that wick and break that kind of above that high. But same thing, it wasn't able to kind of break lower and continue lower. So moving for the rest of the week, it kind of continued that high up to the top here. So it also did break above this 1 hour, or this wick here. You can put it on the 1 hour, have a bit of a cleaner look there. So you can see that it finally broke above that here. Now, some things you can do, you can see, look at this area here where it kind of went sideways for a while, and you have that as an area of potential support / resistance looking forward for further trades. So pop that there as an area of support. So once it actually broke through, you see that it wasn't going to kind of continue high. It finally started exhausting again, and looking left again, I found an area around this 150 area kind of thing where I was looking at potential reversals. So sometimes I give myself about 5 to 10 pip leeway on that price to kind of say, all right, let's see what happens as it approaches that price. So as you can see, exhausted, came down, tested this little area of support, then came back up, tried breaking above this area again to hit that 150 area, which I was kind of looking out for. Then eventually came all the way down. Now, always give myself like a 5 to 10 pip kind of leeway when it comes to the an area I'm kind of looking at, especially if it's not clean looking left. So from here, you could easily see it wasn't going to kind of keep going higher, just exhausted. So you could have actually taken a short from this point right here. So let's tidy this up. Let's input that 40 pip stop loss, which we usually take. And there's probably a couple of spots you could have actually taken this trade down to. Now, one of the more obvious ones is probably just to this area just here, which is at 97 pip profit or 90 pip profit. So it's all the way already over that 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Or you could have even taken it down to that 148 area we've been watching, which would have given you that 5 to 1 risk reward and actually gotten you about 230 pips. So you kind of always want to watch how the price actually pans out as it approaches these zones you're kind of keeping an eye on. So as you can see, it just kind of continuously just dropped. Hasn't retested that area yet, so it just kept coming lower and lower and lower. And that 148 was a pretty decent kind of take profit area. From there, I actually was looking at that 148 area for a potential buyback up to retest this zone here before coming lower. So I did actually take another buy at this 148 area. So I'll pop this just here because you can see here it kind of just exhausted a little bit and try to come up. Now, as you can already tell, we're just basing it on a 40 pip stop loss. I would have been stopped out. This is one thing which I actually mentioned to you guys in a previous video as well about GJ or the pound yen, is that it is quite volatile and it is easy for that pair to kind of move through the zones quite easily. Just taking out people's stop losses and kind of like a bit of an order hunt kind of thing. So you can see that needed actually a 60 pip stop loss without being taken out for that trade. And it still hasn't even reached that area at the top there. But in saying that, you could actually drop down to a 30 pip area, being stopped out of that trade, and you can already see here it actually exhausts again. Now, if I'll just go and bring this over here so you can actually see. So exhaust at that area a couple times. Let's go 40 pip stop loss again, and 80 pip profit. And that was an easy trade to take. So looking at this week, you could have easily had, well, like I said, one trade would have been a loss, win, loss, win, massive win, loss, and win. So it's basing it off of that, you would have had 3 losses, which you would have lost 3 and 1, 3. So those 3 would have brought you in 6R, and the losses would have taken away 3. So you would have been left over 3R, or you would have been left with 120 pip profit for the week for this pair, which is actually really, really good. Now, let's just kind of get rid of some of these here, and we'll talk about the week to come. Now, as we were saying earlier, we have been in a massive bull run up. So you can see that already. So impulse correct, impulse correct, impulse correct, and huge impulse. So we are expecting some kind of retracement now. Now, there are going to be a few areas where you can kind of keep an eye on for potential retrace, like areas where it's going to retrace to. So one which kind of comes to mind is potentially this 146 area, 146.50 area, 144.50 area, and this 142 area. So it has a few spots where it can actually move, and as you already see looking at this, it's sitting at roughly 148. So that's already a couple hundred pips that can actually move still without too much difficulty. So potentially one area it could move to is, like I was saying, this area here of that 144, where it did kind of go sideways for a few days before taking off again, which could provide for a reasonable area of support. So I'll just actually draw that one in so we can actually kind of keep an eye on that. But in saying that, it has retraced off this area here, so it could actually kind of come back up, retest this one of these areas up here before finally making that move all the way down. So it is still in a bull run, so it could potentially keep moving higher, but as I was saying, we are waiting still for a bit of a correction after that massive impulse. And if you're familiar with GJ, it does go through some pretty crazy impulse moves without regard for any previous kind of price action, support resistance areas, price zones, or whatever. It just goes. It does its own thing sometimes. So we could still potentially see that it's going to move higher somewhere around here before moving lower. So that's what I'm actually potentially looking for it to do. It could even kind of open a little bit lower, test this 148 area again, or even just this area here before moving higher again, and before coming all the way down. As I always say, you do got to kind of look at the price action of how it actually reacts at certain zones for potential exhaustion, or if it just kind of blows through that zone. So remember, practice, patience, and get in the habit of actually backtesting your strategy and your trades to see if you would have been successful over the long term. As you know, Forex is something that you will have losses in. As I explained just before, I would have had 3 losses, but 3 profitable trades. And just basing off that 2-to-1 risk reward, I would have ended up with a result of 3R, which is 120 profitable pips for me for this week. And one last thing, guys. Remember, this isn't professional financial advice. This is just my view of what the pound-yen pair will potentially do, and just reviewing what it actually had done for the week. So if you need professional advice, always go see a professional to seek out that professional advice for yourself, and always practice risk management when it comes to trading Forex. So, as always, guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think the pair is going to actually do for the week moving forward, and also hit that subscribe button. Catch you again next time. Cheers.